Cast. And we count you in. 3, 2, you may go.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, a scrappy little series called Andor came to our screens on Disney Plus. And now tonight, James Lott Jr., John Dunphy, and I will tell you our thoughts on the series finale of Andor right here on ALJ Media. Woo!
And,
Man. Welcome, everybody. I'm Frank Moran, joined by these two just incredibly handsome gentlemen to talk about everything and anything that happened in these last three episodes of Andor season two. Aired last Tuesday as we record this, but due to just life challenges and stuff, we were coming to you with a some late entry thoughts, but that makes them no less relevant, insightful, or important. In fact, may say we saved the best for last. All these other people came on with their hot takes right away. We've been able to let them simmer and stew, and now we serve them up with a delicious uh, uh, taste to you right here. As always, folks, feel free to join me on the live chat. We are up here running live on YouTube. Feel free to share any of your thoughts and opinions and feelings about these last three episodes or in general. And the super chat is enabled as well. So if you feel like tossing in a few credits, it'll keep the empire that is JLJ Media up and running.
yeah, Evil Empire.
Uh, John Dunphy, before we dive into it in more detail, what did you think of the last three episodes?
Ah, I loved him. I was emotional the whole time. I uh I think that this is some of my favorite Star Wars ever made. It was so good. It was so well done. And just to revisit a conversation that we had when we first started covering this season, um, because I think we talked about, do we like these 3 episode drops every week? And in the moment, I feel like I think we all agreed, like as podcasters, like it sucks because it's so much content every week that we now have to, watch and cover. But as a viewer, I felt like I said, this was exciting because I get so much content every week, like, because I love this show so much that every time an episode ends, I wish I could, could watch another one. But here we are, only 4 weeks after the debut of the season, and I'm like, I'm so glad that we've seen all of this. It was such a great season, but at the same time, if they were releasing one episode every week, we'd still have 8 weeks left of this show. And now that it's all over, I'm a little sad. So,
Yeah. James, are you sad that it's over, or are you sad about the story in general, or are the tears of joy for you?
So, before I even say that, I just want to thank all the listeners of the show. This show is the number one for last week. It's the number, of all my 90 shows, it's been number one. It's number one today. We've done 30,000 downloads. So
awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm flabbergasted. I'm like, so on the audio world, thank you that you actually care what we say. So thank you so much for that. Tears of joy, tears of sadness, tears were the main thing for me too, Frank. It was a lot of it's my favorite Star Wars series now at this point. I mean, my favorite, hands down. And they did such a great job. The Gilroy men, I'm like, this was amazing. As we'll get into, of course, it ended in ways I didn't expect. So, I mean, if they wanted to do season three, they could have on some level, or a spin-off series, they can. I know we'll talk about that later. Um, I cried to have some of these episodes. I did, and I just thought, again, the cinematography. I say it every week. The cinematography, the writing, the acting, some of the story choices. Um, this series, I tell people who did. I mean, who don't watch because there's no lightsaber fights and Jedi and shit. I was like, you don't understand. If this is like beyond, this is a drama. This was a drama series that
Yeah.
happened to be about the Star Wars universe. So that's how
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
my initial thoughts, Frank Moran and John Dunphy.
I I also I just have to say because I feel like some of these series, whether they were live action or animated or whatever, right? Like people look at the Clone Wars and talk about how it makes the prequel trilogy so much better, right? And then even some of these live action shows like Mandalorian and Ahsoka that have started to tie into even some aspects of the sequel trilogy and maybe trying to make those movies, better because people, the original trilogy stands alone, right? As like this peak of Star Wars that everybody loves, and that's the source that we all, all this ties back to. And it's I feel like it's interesting to me because Andor was so good that even the masterpiece of the original trilogy somehow Andor has even made that better for me because I feel like watching the original trilogy before this, like you see the Empire, you see the rebellion, and I feel like the Empire gets established very well as this like super evil, organization that's just oppressing the entire galaxy, but there's this rebellion that's fighting against it. And now it's like Andor and seeing those stories that then go into Rogue One, that then go into the original trilogy, it's like it's given the rebellion sort of a face and like a backstory that we never had before. It's like I know that the next time I watch the original trilogy, I will think of the rebellion and seeing Mon Mothma in those movies and everything in a whole new like light now. It's like just knowing the rebellion in those movies came from this, like what we just saw with Luthen and Cassian and all these other these people that we didn't have, years ago. It's like it's made the rebellion even more just like momentous and like it's just it adds an extra layer to I think this entire Star Wars saga. And I feel like Andor did such a good job of doing that. Like it's really incredible to me.
Well, that's going to do it for our thoughts here on Andor season two.
Everybody, thank you. Everybody.
Shortest after show ever. We got it. What else needs to be said?
6 minutes. Good. We're done. We're good. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
No, John, I agree with you. I feel like Andor recontextualizes certainly the original trilogy at all, and to the point where it feels like, yeah, I mean, the Death Star was kind of like not necessarily last gasps, but the kind of like the last effort of the Empire to really kind of squash everything and putting. I feel like kind of shows you that like the Empire was already in trouble by the time we get to the New Hope. Where when you saw it clean straight up in New York, you were just like, oh yeah, the Empire is just this big bad thing. How are they ever going to stop it? This definitely kind of reframes it to make you think like, yeah, these guys were in trouble
Yeah.
prior to this.
And this we're talking about, A New Hope is almost 50 years old.
Yeah.
And we just got a new show that just came out that almost somehow changes everything about it, and not in a bad way. Like it just adds to the richness of the story. It's like I can go in and watch A New Hope tomorrow, and I will have a completely different outlook and mindset than I did when if I had watched it 3 months ago. It's just, and I feel like that just speaks to how well done Andor was.
For me, I think I still share this feel the same things that I felt after our last episode, where uh, this is an incredible achievement as a series, but for me, it also shows, the troubles of trying to take 4 years worth of story and squashing it all into one season for the other reasons that we had talked about last time. Just, there's a lot to get into, and there's a lot that's uh, left on the table, I should say, or off the screen by taking 4 years and putting it all into one season. So I don't want to diminish what was accomplished on the series, and it is spectacular, but there are bits of me that I feel like I just didn't quite get the moments that I think maybe it sounds from what the two of you were saying hit resonated more with you two. That I mean, I felt a little bit like, I just wish maybe they would have landed more for me had there been more time. So,
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you necessarily. Like I don't like. There's part of me that wishes that we had another couple of seasons of the show, but knowing what we were, I think it's good that we knew ahead of time going in what we were getting to sort of like mentally prepare for it. And I feel like knowing what we were getting, they did just an impeccable job. Like they did the best possible job they could do to fit that amount of time into one season. Um, I don't disagree. I wish that, we were talking about how, I wonder what we're going to pick up in season 3 of Andor. Like I wish that's what we were talking about, but we all knew going in that this is what we were getting, and I feel like for what we got, it was done as well as anyone could possibly pull it off. Like it was just, yeah. I can't wait. Honestly, we're probably gonna get off tonight, and I'm gonna go back and rewatch these episodes again because I can't get enough of them. And I'm in love with Clea also, just so you know.
All right. I mean, James, somebody that has produced many a thing. I feel like you have to at least appreciate Tony Gilroy. He was up front from the beginning, like with all the reasons why it was changing from a 5 season show into a 2 season show, and what this second season was going to be, which was just an encapsulation of those last 4 seasons into one. So I thought they did a great job putting that out right at the top, to set that level of expectations for the audience. Because certainly in a vacuum, that just if they had not said any of that and we had just seen the season without knowing any of that, I'm sure there would be fans that would just want to like, what do you mean we're getting 4 years in one season?
Yeah.
So so I was listening to both of you guys, and yeah, as you know, I'm a creator of audio drama. I produce audio dramas and things like that, and I understand it. I think I'll just agree with you guys. I think it was a very gutsy, tricky, unique move to do 3 episodes in a week, to release it that way and to condense it. There's so many ways it could have not worked. I think maybe in lesser hands or other hands, I can see it being totally just a mess. To address Frank's thought, I don't think you're wrong. I think it's one of those things, like it's a preference. It's like I think because the show is so good, I would take 12 new episodes. Of like, I would take 5 seasons of the show if it stayed this caliber. I would take 5. I'm going to say clear. If it stayed this caliber, I would take 5 seasons of the show. If we could get a year season, I would totally be all in. And then going to what John said, and kind of what you said too, Frank, but then we couldn't do that. There's reasons why that wasn't going to happen. So within the confines of that, they did such, to me, an amazing job that I'm okay with not knowing everything. I feel like those opportunities could come late. I mean, we could have spinoff and other shows, or characters explain it later into something else. I mean, there could be all kinds of stuff to tie it together. I guess there's so many opportunities. The episodes couldn't be 2 hours long. It's just one of those things that it just would be too much. And I feel like it would also, sometimes you do wear out your welcome. If you do go too long, the quality goes down. We know that sometimes. Lost. It goes down. And then you have flash forwards and flash backwards and flash side. Oh, sorry, wrong show. Once upon a time. In certain shows, the concept is good, and after a while, it's a little too much. Now, if this was like the old days, we had 22 episode seasons, 24 episode seasons. Maybe if they did like half, say 12, maybe it could have worked. But I'm okay because I feel like I almost kind of like not knowing everything. It's out there for the ether to pick up somewhere sometime if they do that. And we'll talk about this. They did touch on a couple of things John asked for. They did touch on them.
Yep.
Eventually, they touched on them eventually. So there were some not full answers, but there was things left out there. That yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, for some people, it's a preference. I think it's one of those things. For me, because it's so good, I guess I'm okay. I'm okay with it.
James, do you want to take a moment now to tell the fans about your partnership with Lucasfilm?
So I have a new series. God, I wish. My God, Frank. Oh my God. I wish I had I seriously, anybody listening, I could write a Star Wars spin-off audio series. I could totally do it. I got 1,000 ideas. So I would just start with the Thrawn series. I could totally write that. Anyway, that'd be my dream. But anyway, I wish I could say that for real. But I just think it's a storytelling thing. I know that some people want that, like they want some more of the meat and know exactly like what happened to Homeboy. Did he get killed? Like, how did he get killed? And what, some people want to see that. Some people do want to see that, or some people want to see a little more of the, like, what did Bix exactly go through? What did Andor Bix go through for that year? Like, some people want to see it.
Yeah.
We see Homeboy at the end with the wife of the other guy, and you're like, well, how that happens? I understand where it's like, but for me, it's kind of cute. They're cute teasers. It's kind of like, oh, okay, that happened. Maybe it's a story later for that, or maybe it's just kind of like, how ironic. Maybe the story's in your imagination.
Well, for me, I mean, the parent shot at the end of the last episode, great. Like I needed no further bit to kind of just figure out how his life kind of maybe went off the rails or just debauchery just opened up as soon as Mon was out of the picture. It's like, all right, I'm just pure libido now, and libido and my flying cars and my booze. That's all I
But here's the thing, Frank. It's kind of funny. He's okay. Of all that whole group, he's kind of leaving unscathed. Kind of. Well, I guess not because he's an alcoholic probably now, but
Yeah, I mean, sweet liquor eases the pain, as we all know.
Yeah, I mean, Mon really was kind to Perrin when you think about it. Like she could have like tried to pin something on him,
yeah.
like blame him for something. Meanwhile, like even like the fact that when they were setting up that foundation, she just accused him of like gambling again, like having some uncontrollable problem. It's like the Empire, as far as they're concerned, he's just a drunk gambling addict, who has no idea what's going on. Like Mon really actually was. She set him up to be just fine. So. I also have to say, I don't know if you would get a full series of this, but just now seeing some more of the story of like Luthen and Clea and how they all, kind of came to be where they were. I don't know if it would be a full series worth of stories you could tell, but I know, now that they're doing like Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Underworld or Underground or whatever, I could totally see like a Star Wars like Tales of the Rebellion where we have like a Luthen and Clea like animated episode, some
Uh,
stuff that they do.
let's take just a 30-second sidebar here. Tales of the Underworld that came out May the 4th. If you were playing Fortnite, they released it the first two episodes a couple days earlier that you could sit there on Fortnite and watch those and get a free loading screen if you watch those. But
That's so funny.
which I did, so I got that free loading screen. Yeah.
He's like, I got it. Yeah, I got it.
I got it. I got it. It's on
Yeah,
Nerd,
no, but
nerd.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, whatever. I'm like, okay, Frank.
I gotta get my Ventress loading screen, everybody. And I did. Uh, I enjoyed the Ventress 3 episodes. I was underwhelmed by the Cad Bane 3 episodes.
Agreed completely. The
Oh,
Ventress ones I thought were phenomenal. The Cad
Yes.
Bane ones I liked, but didn't grab me as much as the Ventress ones did.
Yeah. I don't know I like Cad Bane and I wanted to like those more, but I just was like, all right.
Yeah.
So there we go. That was a 30 seconds with
I like
Tales of the Underworld.
that. Chelsea Underworld. I love it.
All right. So as John was saying, we did see some flashbacks. Episode 10, we see, the life and times of Luther Real.
Yeah.
Uh this is, a pretty tight focused episode on those two characters and the storyline that's revolving around them. Uh before we dive into all the specifics, James, given everything we've seen Luthen be involved in and everything that he's done, did this ending kind of was it the one you kind of not predicted, but does it kind of meet what you expected for his swan song to be, or were you surprised?
Because we knew he wasn't going. Wasn't in the movie. I mean, I kind of was like, that's one character that probably would have been in the movie. And he's such a big character. I think. So I figured something's. I didn't know how it was going to go down. The way it went down broke me. I was completely sobbing. But I was like, yeah, that makes sense. It all and just, I mean, finding out their story. There's a big drop in there about who they really are to each other.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that.
Mm.
I thought they were naturally father daughter. They aren't. He found her. That was the whole thing. It's like, oh, so he raised. Oh, so I mean, by all purposes, I don't want. Maybe correct myself for going to come after me. By all purposes, they're father and daughter, right? Because he raised her.
When it's useful. When it's useful.
Yeah. Well, yes. Well, okay. Look at John. Okay, come in there. Oh, you know, she's,
Well, that's what he said.
no, you just I know you just say that, but I'm saying the point is, I don't want people to get mad. Like he did raise her, you know, whatever. So that's funny, but not biological. That was the big
Right.
what? I was like, that was a big shock for me. But no, his ending cinematically was beautifully shot, emotionally done. So we'll get into that. So yeah, it matches. And to me, it matches. I feel like for a character that grand, there were several exits I thought were done the way they should be. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but like when it happened, you go, okay, party gas. It was very much. I was like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
John, how did you feel that the death of Luther Royale was handled?
I honestly, I actually think it was better than I thought it might be because my thought was he's gonna go out pulling like a Holdo maneuver, right, where he like sacrifices himself and flies his ship into something to blow it up and like save other people or whatever. Like I'm thinking he's gonna have a big dramatic, death where he's like sacrificing himself to save other people, and it turned out honestly to be even better than I thought because we got this whole backstory and he's laying in the hospital there. And then it's Clea, like the one that he found and saved and like raised as his own. And now Clea is the one that has to sort of end it for him. And I'm like, that's so much better than anything I could have ever even thought of. And it feels like that sort of like what George Lucas says, right? It's poetry and it rhymes. And it's like that's a more fitting ending than anything I could have thought of.
She had to pull the plug basically on her father. You know, that was
Yeah.
it came to a point where there was the end of the line for him. That was the end of the line for him.
Yeah.
As much as he could, that was it. He knew it, so they planned this whole thing together. And at first, I was understanding what was about to happen. I wasn't sure what they were talking about. Then I'm like, oh my god, now I get it.
Yeah.
Now I get it. And I had a feeling that's what was going to happen, and it did.
Yeah. And his even in his death, like it still served a purpose. And I know that she was at risk for it, but he could have very easily had that store, their little, antiquities shop rigged with explosives. And the second Dedra came in, he hits the detonator and blows up, and now everybody's dead. Well, who are they going to look for? Her. And it's like, well, no, now everybody's distracted because this guy, Axis, is wounded. We got to keep him alive. And now this is the priority. And it's like nobody's thinking about Clea until the very end and when it's too late, like
I knew when that meetup with Deidre and him, I go, something's up because nothing's really happening. And when he pulled out that knife or whatever you want to call it, handed to her, he's kind of just saying innuendo kind of things. I'm like, something's gonna happen. I wasn't sure what it was, but I felt like it's a bigger play because it's too just clean and like I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure what was gonna happen, but I knew something was gonna happen.
I I'm and I feel like this is one of the examples, and yeah, and I don't know if it would have been better. I just know that I probably would have enjoyed it. Is that the story of Axis and Dedra tracking Nick down was such a thrust of a lot of the story, especially for Dedra's arc in season one. And is the Empire ever going to figure out who Axis is? And this gap that we see because we jump 1 year, it's like another example of like, boy, I wish there was just more because while it may not have changed anything and everybody you and people may have been fine with what we got. I just love the way that Andor just dives into the minutia of the Empire. And so to see those scenes instead of just trying to just picture them in my head and just kind of fill in that gap here on my own. It's just one of those things where it's like, oh, if only we could have had some great scenes of just Imperial minutia as they're locking in on Axis and figuring it all out. But we get what we get.
You
So
didn't get it, Frank. So there.
I didn't. So, shut your face and move on.
What's funny though, when you say that, Frank, it's just that the show is so good. I like they probably would have done a great job if they told that part of the story. Like we just know that it's the fact that you're wanting more. Hi chat. You're wanting more, and I wouldn't mind more. So it's almost like I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I was like I was okay with what I got, but if they gave us more story, I would totally take it. Because we know it'd be good. Also, that's kind of this whole weird dilemma, isn't it? It's like they gave us what we got.
Yeah.
We know why we got it, but like there are. I mean, if you everything you just said, Frank, I would love to see it. I mean, I would totally. I mean, I'd be like this watching it. Like, I mean, I would be watching it.
Yeah. I also wonder how many of these kind of stories the production team was working on and thinking
Right.
about and like
Right.
throwing around the writing room, right? Because I feel like there are probably people in there going like, oh, we should show how Dedra started, kind of like zoning in on Axis and how she sort of figured out who it was. But I feel like what's great about what the show did and the team that was involved, it seems like they were probably all on the same page, pinpointed, all right, these are the stories we need to tell each 3 episode drop, and they figured it out. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was somebody in there drawing up a scene for exactly what you're talking about, Frank, like Dedra figuring things out. And it's like that's what gives me hope that like maybe we could get like an animated series telling some of these stories or some other kind of spin-off or something like that.
Right. I mean, I think that could be
Um,
possible. Yeah.
I guess I have to imagine since they kind of just dial into, like essentially 3 days, I suppose, if we're kind of treating each episode as just, a day.
a day.
There's a lot of fat on the bone as they're kind of figuring out where within that is
Yeah.
like the best point of the 3 days to use, and then shrinking everything down to kind of that sweet spot for everything.
That must have been really hard because think about it for a second. As I know, writing a series, it's like you have a story to tell, obviously. Number one, but number two, it's like then what do you cut out? What do you leave in? It's just that whole shrinking down process. A lot of times, we write these big outlines, and then you got to bring it down to okay, we're gonna get this many minutes. So what are we going to tell?
Hmm.
Will it still make sense what we tell? So there's a lot. So you're right.
Yeah.
There's a lot in there. And John, you're right. I'm sure people came up with all kinds of stuff. It was like it just didn't make it in. I know
Right.
some
And
behind the scenes. I know some other stuff. I know some kind of like what else do we thought about? I would love some kind of scenes like that.
right. And like see, it's funny because I have even thought about these weekly drops, these 3 episode drops, as almost just like we have gotten a movie
Right.
every week for the last 4 weeks, right? And it's like um there's a part of me that feels like if there was more seasons of this, right? Would we start to get tired of
Right. That's the thing.
this hunt and this chase, right? If we had a full season of Dedra just going after Axis, right? And it was this uh constant thing where it's like every episode she gets a little closer, but she's still not there yet. Like, would we get tired of it? Like, is it almost a good thing that we just skipped all of that and we got right to the point where she's visiting the shop and we learned that now Luthen is caught?
Or John, is this a situation like Prison Break or
Uh-huh.
Fugitive, the series, TV
Right.
series,
It's like,
where that was the premise of the whole series? I mean, that was like, or like I said, Lost. That was the whole premise. They were they in purgatory? Were they on it? Like it was a whole thing. I know some things get stretched out. And you're like, it's too much information, and it gets bogged down.
right. It's like we've had 6 episodes now of Dedra hunting Axis.
Right.
Like, can she just find him? It's like, is what we got better because we skipped all of that and just got right to the chase, like
I can hear Frank saying that already, going, "Oh my God, just get to the point, Deidre. Get it, just get him." I can see people say that easily if it went on too long. So it's one of those things we'll never know. Obviously, if we'll never know. But I just feel like there were
Right.
shows out there that were. I was going to say 24, but that was something a little different. But I would say Prison Break, where they had a premise of someone trying to do something, and it went on every day for seasons. And some of them were successful, some weren't that successful. Some of them were a little too much. So I wonder, but this show is so good that I mean, wouldn't the quality be good too? I mean, I don't what we didn't see, Frank.
Yeah. Well, James, that may be a new show for you to do here, like Andorable, all the little bits and pieces that you would have loved to
Adorable.
have seen.
Horrible. I love the name. I love the name. Don't give me ideas, Frank. Don't give me more ideas. I will totally put it together. Shit. I like Andor. Oh my god.
That's a great name. It honestly is a great
It
name.
is. I'm like, oh, Frank, stop it. Stop it. Get out of my head. Stop
Okay.
it.
Just trying to keep the juggernaut that is JLJ Media
I know, but I
moving.
totally think it's. I can totally. Oh, yeah. Anyway, back to what we were saying, Frank. Other than that,
I'm gonna ask both of you, John, starting with you, Dedra, in this episode. I mean, do you feel? I mean, certainly it's 1 year since we saw, the Gorman massacre. Cyril's dead. Uh, do you feel like any of that is motivating Dedra in this episode, or do you feel like that was kind of just kind of like she kind of brushed that aside and is just Axis is what she's all about?
Oh man. I mean, I'm sure it still all affects her, right? And like Gorman, that's where she lost Cyril and everything. I'm sure that still plays on her mind constantly. Um, and I think that she's probably not really thrilled with what the real purpose was of why she was there. But I feel like this access thing, which was taken away from her anyway, even before Gorman, right? Is probably like a common theme for a lot of these characters throughout the season has felt to me like desperation. And Dedra going through with this like hunt for Axis, even though it's been taken away from her essentially before this, it feels like it's just a desperate thing. It's like I don't know what to do anymore because um I was hunting for Axis before. It all went bad on Ferrix. I'm given this new opportunity on Gorman, but like something is just off about this. And then my significant other, Cyril, gets murdered during this whole process, and now I have to come back and just like act like everything's fine. So I'm just gonna keep hunting down Axis, even though I'm overstepping here because it's not even part of my jurisdiction anymore. And it's like I don't know. It seems like she was just kind of a mess in these last three episodes. Like she didn't really know where her purpose was or what she was supposed to be doing or what. I felt like just desperation for Dedra in these last three episodes. Like, what do I go? Where do I go from here? How do I salvage my career? How do I live with myself? Like those are all the feelings that I got from Dedra. Like throughout this arc of three episodes here.
Because James, if you look, I mean, objectively, in the Empire's point of view, the Gorman massacre was a success from a PR standpoint, from what they needed to get, to get the materials that they needed from the planet. So for Dedra, I mean, she should be coming back feeling like, hey, Empire did good by you guys, right? So you guys did do good by me. But we also know that Cyril died during that massacre, and their relationship really fell apart once the truth about what was happening on that planet was all about. So, do you think had Cyril not died, and that he and her were in alignment about the Gorman massacre? Cyril didn't like freak out and was gonna just leave her. If that had not happened, do you think that she would have not been in the position that she was? I know she would have handled that like episode 10 a lot differently in her approach to
that's a
Axis.
good question. I'm not sure. I think she was motivated by his death a little bit, but also she was loyal to the Empire. So she was. I mean, that was her. I mean, we've seen it from episode one, season one, everything. She wanted to move up the ranks. That was her whole. That was her life. I can tell you guys, I think she did like. I think she did love Cyril on some level. I just thought it was a weird love, but I think she did. This character is such a weird character for me because she's evil. She's She's one of the bad guys, and I'm feeling for her. Well, I don't get into the other episodes with her. What happens to her destiny? But I just kept turning around feeling bad for her. I just kind of like, why am I feeling bad and sad for her? It's like it's. I felt like Cyril's death mixed with the success. I hate to say it like this, the successful massacre. It's one of those short and fighting. She should have been excited and happy and great, like it worked, but yet it's bittersweet. And is that's the Empire. The Empire is not anything good, girl. So I'm like, it's just kind of like that's. I mean, I think that's what she gets, so to speak. It's like because you are evil, so you're not gonna get total happiness. That's so yeah, okay. Well, that thing had worked out for the Empire, yet you personally lost a man.
You're evil, girl.
Evil girl, you're evil girl, you're evil girl. Yeah.
Yeah,
Man,
I mean,
danger
listen,
girl.
even at the end of these episodes, she's sitting in a cell,
Right,
and she's still helping this guy Hirt or whatever
right.
with the Empire. It's like the Empire is literally putting you in a cell, and you're still now trying to help them.
In the
Like,
chat, Darby13 says, I don't think Deidre was used to having emotions for like love for another person. That's possible. But again, almost going to Frank, we won't know that. We don't know much about it. We don't know that. She had no girlfriend she was talking to. She never had a monologue. Like, we don't know. Suddenly they were together. So that's where Frank comes in with that. Well, if we had some more information about the relationship, we'd have to.
And that's why everybody should be a little excited when they tune into Andorable on GLG Media. As James Lott Jr. fills in those little gaps on everybody's favorite Star Wars show.
I love that adorable. It's very Deidre was evil. Remember Bix? That's what Darby13 says. So, and somebody in chat says Krennic is a total bastard to Deidre.
There,
Krennic is horrifying.
there is such a like I don't know what it is about Dedra that when people are mad at her, they get very handsy with Dedra.
I know.
Whether it's Cyril, like arm, hands around the neck, Krennic, the great index finger on the head, and then
Which I heard was improv.
yes, I heard that.
Was it really?
Yes.
Oh, funny. Okay.
And then at the end, when he just grabs her head and just like, we'll try to get by without you. I just forces her back down.
Just by the face goes,
Yeah.
We'll try to manage without you, and just puts her back in her chair.
Funny. I don't think.
Oh yeah, everybody people just want to just grab her and just do stuff with her when they're mad at her. So we also say goodbye to somebody else that we were wondering would we see what would happen to them, and that's our boy Lonnie. We start off this episode where there is a message coming in over at the gallery at Luthen's gallery. Kayla sees it, and next thing you know, it is the big alarm. You don't pull punches when you pull this one. And that's Lonnie wanting to talk to Luthen and saying, I got the big stuff. This is the big stuff, and I need to get out of here. I need safe passage for me, my family. I'm burned. I can't go back anymore. And Luthen immediately is kind of mad. He's like, wait a minute, what? You burned yourself without even talking to me first? And Lonnie's like, no, trust me. This is worth it, but I just need the safe passage. And we see Luthen just start dangling Yavin as like a place like, hey, yeah, Yavin, we'll get you to Yavin. Yavin's it, baby. That's where it's like a resort spa. You're gonna kick your feet up and relax on Yavin.
On Yavin.
Some mud baths. Great drinks.
Fine women.
The Yavin Cabana.
That's right. But James, were you surprised that once we kind of leave that scene, we've just find poor Lonnie just still sitting on the
I was
bench?
like, okay, well, they're starting. I was like, all righty. I was like, dang. I'm like, you're not going to be fine. You're not going to be fine. You're dead. I was like, he's laying there, and I'm like, oh my God. Or he's sitting there, and I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, he's dead. That's crazy. He went to him like for help, and he's dead. Like, so he didn't make it. Sorry, kids. I was shocked.
John, did you feel Lonnie might make it out of these episodes, or were you not surprised to see Luthen tying up this loose end?
I wasn't surprised. I'm sad. I pour one out for Lonnie. I just it's interesting because one of my favorite monologues in this whole show was the one that Luthen gave to Lonnie about what do I sacrifice everything, and so there's a part of me that feels like Lonnie in some ways had more of a life than Luthen did. He was a father, a husband. He had years of that, and Luthen kind of just did what needed to be done. But at the same time, it's like, oh, that's so cold. That's so cold. This guy, Lonnie, was putting everything on the line for you every day for years. um, putting himself at risk, and then you just killed him when you needed to, and it's just it's so dark and it's so cold, but it's like I don't know, in a way, Lonnie had a better life than Luthen
Yeah.
Well, and
in a way.
I feel like by doing that, he also condemns Lonnie's wife and child as well. Because there's if they're on Coruscant, which I believe they must be, I mean, the Empire is not going to be big fans of them. So I can't imagine things go well for them once they track them.
See,
Mm,
the chat disagrees with you. The chat says, I think Luton killed Lonnie for security reasons, as well as protecting Lonnie's family, as Lonnie will be seen as a martyr to the Empire as a fallen hero.
well, because I wondered about that. I did, because like, could Lonnie's death potentially be blamed on like Dedra, right? Because she's being looked at as a rebel spy. Krennic finds out that Lonnie, for some reason, had her code cert, right? Her clearances. Um, Maybe Dedra is the one that killed him to try to cover up her tracks. Maybe Luthen is thinking of that and being like, "Oh, this will actually protect your family if I take you out of the picture." And not put your family at risk, because everyone's just going to blame this on Dedra. Even with the hospital and everything like that, when Hertz or Hertz rather, it was being like, oh, the security package was Dedra Miro's. I just want that underlined. And this was all her. These were
Yeah.
all her people. It's like, oh, is everyone just going to assume that everything bad that's happened, including Lonnie being murdered, is all just because Dedra is a rebel spy? Like,
Yeah, well, I mean, it also because it's tough to tell with Lonnie because like when he gets name checked later on after he's dead, it's like, oh, you were friends with Young, right? He's like, no, we were never friends. So people are like, wanting to distance themselves from Lonnie as well in the
mm,
ISB. So yeah, I don't know. I'll be curious. But it makes sense. Like, yeah, if they wanted to pin everything on Dedra, it's easy enough, to lump Lonnie's death right on there as well.
yeah.
Uh, but Luthen gets the information he needs, gives it to Clea, lets him know they're burned, and Richard and Clay is the one that says, "I'll go back to the gallery. I will burn down everything." And he's like, "No, no, no, I'll do it. You just make sure you meet me." And when Luthen gets there and is in the process of pouring that delicious liquid right all over the communication console, there comes Dedra, ready to show up and just start needling him, and pulls out that one little piece of equipment that she's had since season one. That I can imagine she just keeps in her,
Her
kept
pocket,
in her,
her
yeah,
pocket.
kept in her pocket, ready to just pull it out. Uh, James, were you satisfied? I mean, this has been since, episode one. It was Dedra's of season one. It was Dedra looking for access. And finally now has this confrontation with the man that she's been looking for so long. Were you satisfied with her chat?
So this is where I mean I enjoyed it obviously, but this is where I know how you feel where you're like, wow, they showed us the build up. It probably would have been even sweeter, but it was good. We maybe because we did know she was looking for him and looking for this, and it was tense filled because she's there, and you're like, okay, and it's like it's very. I mean, I didn't breathe the whole scene basically, just like they were just tension filled. Who's gonna do what to whom? We just weren't sure. So it still worked. To answer your question, it still worked. But I'm actually saying it probably would have worked. In this case, it may work better if we saw more of, like you said, what you said a minute ago, so a while back. So, but it was fine. I loved it. It was fine.
John, how did you feel?
Um, I mean, it was great. I loved their little game, right? Like when she first came in, acting like, "Oh, I've gone, by this place so many times, and I've always wanted to come in," and like, and him being like, "Well, now you're here," and just like,
Yeah.
also like seeing too, like, because before this we find out that Luthen was Sergeant Lear, right? And then knowing that his name, he just reversed it, right, from Lear to Rail, just literally reversed the letters, and
Right.
then it was just funny because the way that she asked him, like, "Oh, is everything real?" And even that, I felt like it's like so close to the name. There's two letters reversed. It's just this whole little like ruse is so fun to me because you know exactly what's happening here. And it's like, and then when you find out later that here it was like his day off, and Dedra was never supposed to do this, and it was like Luthen and Clea both should have been, been able to get out of here unscathed if it wasn't Dedra going against like proper protocols and orders and things like that. And just watching this whole exchange, kind of knowing exactly where it was going to go, was the tension was there, and he even said that, like, right, like they're talking about that knife, and she's like, "So is it real?" And he's like, "Oh." So we still don't know. The tension mounts, and I'm like, "Yes, no, you're right. The tension is literally mounting."
Was,
Like,
it was.
it was just this was such a great scene. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was yeah.
Yeah, when he says to her, it's like, oh, there's only two things in here that are questionable provenance.
Yeah.
Good, care to guess?
Luthen and Clea.
Yes.
They're the only
Uh,
two.
that was great. Yeah, when he shows her the knife or the dagger,
Dagger.
and he goes, well, "Is this one?" She's like, "Who knows? Who knows? Who knows if it is? We don't know." There's just something like that. Luthen's like, "Oh yeah, I've known you all along. I've known you. You know." Well, she's like, "Oh, I
Seems
just think
yeah,
that." Yeah,
seems unfair.
yeah. uh, and so she's ready to take him in, but Luthen, uh, I figured he was going to do something. The dagger, him stabbing himself with the dagger was not what I was expecting him to do. I thought maybe poison, or he was going to have some sort of explosive device, to what you were saying earlier. I mean, but I guess, like if you're going to show a dagger, you got to use the dagger.
I think so too. That's the whole point. I said it was that little play I said earlier, just like, what is this? This is the thing. And like they're kind of going back and forth. And when he grabs it, when he takes it from her, they show her hand. Her arm, like they say, something was going on there. They shot out a little shot of her hand and get it back. And I just knew, well, once they show that, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I was like, somebody's not leaving there alive. That's what I thought.
Yeah, and so Luthen, stabs himself. That's it. And Denner's like, no, no, I showed up here without any sort of backup. I thought I was gonna be really cool and have my moment. What am I gonna do now?
Yeah.
What I also appreciated too was just the CSI of the Imperial side that we get to see in this episode
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Them coming in, getting Luthen's body, them coming in, kind of going over the crime scene, the nerds that are really into just, Luthen and Kayla's set up in the back room,
Yeah, they're
and
all.
like, whoa, this is really smart how they wired this all into to work.
Yeah. They look at him like, "Excuse you guys." They're like, "Sorry." The two guys, they got their scene. They got their scene. The two guys.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
it was a little fun when they were doing it. I'm like, wow, this is really impressive. They're like, hello. Yeah, no, I liked all that too. That was really good.
Yeah, and then Kayla finds out that Luthen's in the hospital. He's being taken away. And then it leads us into just a series of flashbacks of Kayla and Luthen's life, intercut with Clea's plan to be able to get into the hospital with the objective of, well, I think, objectively you go like, oh, is she going to try to rescue him? But no, no, no. She's there to, well, rescue him in their own way, not necessarily the way that many people would think. Uh, John, what did you think of these flashbacks? Did you enjoy them all? Do you think they were needed? Do you think it would have been best focused? Like we already understood their relationship. We didn't need this, and we could have just focused more on the present day of everything.
No, I thought they were very necessary, the flashbacks. I felt like it really, their relationship was not really defined before this. I think we all had our assumptions. Are they father and daughter? Or did they meet some other way? And I felt like seeing these flashbacks, they not only helped to kind of, sort of clear up the whole relationship and how it started and how it formed and how it was built, but it also added to our investment in it as viewers, because it's like, okay, we already knew that Luthen and Clea were very important characters and obviously had a close relationship, but then getting to actually see how it started and how they kind of got from where they started to where they were now, it just made me even more like emotionally invested in it. And kudos to the young actress that played young Clea, because great job there. Um, and yeah, like I said, I just kind of want to see more of that. Luthen and Clea like on their road to how did they get to this shop in Coruscant where they had all these sophisticated comms where they were tied into the Imperial radio frequency and all this stuff. Like, how did they go from Luthen on his ship going make it stop to becoming Luthen and Clea on Coruscant? Like, how did that happen? How did we get there? Like, and the back sort of the flashbacks that we got, the background story that we got was very good, and it made me more invested in it. But I want to see more of it, honestly.
How'd you feel, James?
The flashbacks, I told you, it was just like, wow, did not expect that. Added to the story. So we got a little bit of story for you. We got a little story for you. I think it adds to, oh, bye, John. Thanks. He's like, I'm done. No, but it adds to what's about to happen. Now we got a little more investment. We're already invested already. Because because I feel like they've showed their relationship pretty much, and it's very defined through the series. But to show the flashback, oh, that's where she came from. That's what now I get. Now we kind of get it. So what she has to do later, it informs that, and so it explains some of that, right? It's like, okay, she loves Luther on some level. She's grateful to him, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can't spend the amount of time they did together and not have genuine affection for that person.
So for her to have to basically, pull the plug on him, but actually more than that, actually kill him, in their own way that he devised, that was those backup scenes were really good to show us some of that.
I'm of two minds of this because it's like I felt like the one scene that probably did the best for me for all those flashbacks was the I mean, people have speculated if it's Naboo or not, where
All
they're
right,
at, and they actually do blow up the bridge. And you see like that they're really crossing their line into being uh, uh, activists in this as opposed to
right.
just kind of talking about this in the abstract. Uh, yeah, I don't know. It's like I feel like this is one of the cases where I feel like the show's done such a great job to show me that there's like a genuine a long-term connection and relationship between these two characters that even if they never really spelt out if they're father and daughter, I never thought that like I never had that speculation of that they were father and daughter. For me, I just thought that they were some sort of partners that had come across, each other in their lives. And I felt like over the course of these two seasons, I had definitely seen this bond between them that I don't know if I really got more out of these flashbacks. And so it's like, for me, it's like, yeah, would I have rather traded the flashbacks for more present day stuff? Is that the place you could have had more of Dedra figuring out the whole axis of it all and doing all that? Would that have been more interesting to see? Who knows? That's only my opinion. Other people may be like, yes, these flashbacks were well worth the trade-off of seeing more present day action in this episode.
Well, like I said, I think I guess it's a preference, right? But for me, I feel like isn't it part of what you wanted? You wanted to see more stuff. I mean, so it wasn't the in between, but it was some part of the past, something we didn't see, we didn't know.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I feel like with Dedra, like we kind of get her obsession and why she's trying to hunt down Axis, and it's like I kind of enjoyed seeing, especially leading up to the point where Clea had to pull the plug. I kind of appreciated seeing like, all right, we're getting a chance now to see some of the lessons that Luthen taught Clea and why this is going to be so hard for her that she essentially has to pull the plug on her father and send him to his death. And like to me, like I agree with you, Frank. I would love to see more of Dedra zeroing in on Axis, but at least for the way that the season was done, it was very effective for me to see some of these flashbacks with Clea and Luthen as she was about to, sort of send him to his death. So
so we do see Luther get taken to the hospital. Dedra wanting to clear off all the floor, and we're gonna, bring him out in a day or so, and we're gonna interrogate him or torture, get this information out of him. Uh, and thinking that she's, the fact that she did find Axis is gonna excuse all her actions to actually track down access. But Hoyt finds out, shows up, uh, does talk to Partagrass and says like, "What is going on?" She wasn't even. She was off the access desk. This was mine. Wasn't even supposed to be involved with this, and turns out the Empire was not too thrilled with what Dedra has done. So when Hoyt shows up there at the hospital, Dedra's like, "Oh yeah, all right, let's do this." And Dedra's like, "No, no, no." I do like Hoyt saying, "It's like, yeah, no, 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 well, we're taking you in, baby. You're coming with us." Oh,
Yeah.
well, this will just be quick. We can go in and clear this up real quick. I feel like to that point, Dedra feels like she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna go in, say what's up, and they're all gonna like give me some applause, and I'll
I
just
do
be right
like
back here." And it does
Yeah.
not play out for Dedra like that at all, and for the rest of this episode.
No. Well, rest of the series.
Yeah.
She got a tragic story at the end.
Or did she? I mean, she could be one of those people that, we didn't see Mandalorian season 3 that, has gotten that pardon and is now one of the former Empire workers finding some job
You're
there in
right.
the
You're right. But you're right. That's true.
yeah, is part of the new Republic.
We're
Very
gonna
true.
find out Dedra is the armorer from The Mandalorian.
Buddy.
What I did like, so we get more Krennic in this episode. And we get to see him interacting with Partagrass again, which is great. And with Hoyt, I mean, well, I like that Krennic has got no patience for Hoyt at all. So yeah, yeah, if you want to, just end up with the rest of these losers that I've been rounding up today in the ISB, this ISB death march,
Right.
go ahead and screw up today, Hoyt.
Yes. 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 Yes.
But I liked once Hoyt leaves, and it's just Parnagrass and Krennic, and the two of them talking, and it feels like this is like two people of kind of same level talking to each other. They've been around for a long time. They've seen how the Empire works. Even Parnagrass is like, yeah, save your proselytizing, until you get to the Emperor. You don't have to try to do anything for this.
Yeah.
Like that. Don't try to impress me or anything. It's fine. Just I'm fine.
I just love to Krennic being like, I can't protect you, Leo. And
Yes.
and then Partagas being like, save your sermon for the Emperor. And Krennic being like, yeah, well, I guess you have a mess to clean up, and I'm 2 hours late to Scarif. And Partagas just being like, best of luck to both of us. And it's like you both know that you're about to meet the same fate. It might
Yeah.
just take one of you a little bit longer than the other to get there, but you're both gonna die.
Oh yeah.
uh and as I told James earlier, John, I dived right into, as soon as I finished these 3 episodes, I put on Rogue One just to see how it segues. And I just feel like this series, look at, yeah, there you go. As James fondles his copy of Rogue One.
DVD, folks. That's how old I
Series.
am. That's how old I am. Oh, wait a minute. There it is. That's how old I am.
Look at him. Look at him. The series made me look at Krennic in a different way, because I feel like in this series he is all like, "Oh, I was dining with the Emperor and I was chatting with this," and it makes it seem like him and the Emperor are just like we're good buddies. Yet you see Krennic in Rogue One, and it's all about him being on the outs. Like it's Tarkin that's chumming with the Emperor, and Krennic is like just constantly on the outs the whole time. So I'm just like, are you were you lying the whole time in Andor season 2, Krennic, about like you chumming it up with the Emperor just to make yourself look better in front of everybody else that you're talking to?
Right, right.
That's how I kind of look at him.
It's funny too because this series now makes the opening scene of Andor a flashback, because in these last
Mhm.
episodes of Andor, they already know about Galen Erso and the fact that he's building this weapon and all that stuff. But when we first get to Rogue One, the opening scenes are Krennic going to take Galen Erso from his family. Um, so even that's kind of like interesting to me. Is that like the first scene of Rogue One is now, if you watch it after this series, it's become a flashback.
Yes.
Whereas before it was just the first scene of the movie.
Yeah.
It's like this is where the story starts. It's like, no, 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 no. Now, when you watch Rogue One, you're watching a flashback of the story that you're about to watch.
Uh, so James, how satisfied were you with Kayla's infiltration of the hospital and her farewell to Luthen?
Oh, so it was nail biting, exciting. She get in there, she got in, and it was very dramatic. It was very emotional. Um, and I was wondering if she could really do it. Did it?
What I like, John, is that there was no hesitation. Once she gets to Luthen's room and she unplugs it, she goes in deliberately, boom, 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 unplugs that breathing apparatus. I mean, it takes a moment to have that that kiss and that and have a cry, but I like that she was no hesitation in doing what she needed to do.
Yeah. And that's how you know that even if it wasn't biological, at the end, she really was Luthen's daughter
Yeah.
because she did exactly what Luthen would have done, which was what was needed, what was necessary. Um, the father figure that she knew her whole life. When it came time to pull that plug, she did it, no hesitation, and she got out of there. And she was a badass even getting up to that floor. I mean, that whole thing was
Yeah.
amazing. Watching her do that. Um, but then she did what she had to do.
And
Uh,
for me, we can't even go on to the next episode without talking about the cinematography of that last moment and the music
Oh,
pulling back
yeah.
of Luthen on essentially on a slab, or it was on a slab of some sort, but it almost looked like it was illuminating, and it was like it was that whole white room, and the music comes in. It was a perfect music choice, whatever music that was, and it's pulling the camera's going back, and then it just stops and then fades to black, and then we get the credits. I just thought that that character deserved that episode ending on him.
Yeah.
We followed him since episode from the first episode. We followed him so much, like he opened the show basically. So we followed him, and it was like that was a great way to end that episode and set us up for these last two episodes. I mean, I was already. I mean, every episode I was just like more anxious than the last. I mean, so like it was like because we're getting closer and closer, and this one, with her getting out, her getting in, and her getting out, and how distraught she was when she was walking out, she was going out, trying to hold it together. But it was just that. But it was that whole, and they're going frantic. What happened? I just love how just the camera goes out, and he's just laying there, and it was like he looked so peaceful, but he looked also royal to me.
Hmm.
I was like, that's a great ending for him, a great ending for that episode, of ending for that show. I had tears in my eyes, and I was like, "This is really, it was really good." I just thought it was very well done.
Right.
Directors, cinematographer, whatever, just great job.
yeah, I mean, I feel like if any, at least for me, if any character, and maybe for the two of you, like Stellan Skarsgård crushed it as Luthen, and just
I agree.
that character was such a standout in the course of the series. Uh,
100%.
I agree. And I was
100%.
watching. It's kind of funny. His son Alexander, who's been interviewed. Of course, I love to read True Blood and all these other things he's been on, of course. And they're like, "Your dad is," blah, blah, blah. He goes, "Yes, that's my dad." And she brings up Mamma Mia. It's great. It's making the rounds, and and you could tell. I was like, "Why are you bringing up that movie? Like, what are you doing?" They had to play it off, but it just goes to show. He said, "My father's done many other things that are wonderful," and I would say now this is included. Who knew a Star Wars series, TV series, not movie, but TV series, we actually hold in high regard, and that he did something that was quality television.
how dare anybody disparage Mamma Mia or Mamma
Well, I mean,
Mia
no,
like
we
Game of
all
War?
like they said, and I will say it too. It was fun, but like you said, my father can't dance, he can't sing. Neither could Pierce Brosnan, neither could Colin Firth. None of them could. But he said, look at they were having fun though. Like they were having such a good time. And then, and that to
Right.
me, that's why I saw the movie in the theater. I thought it was probably a great CD movie, but I enjoyed myself. I thought, I mean, I saw the musical on Broadway first and the whole thing. I'm a huge ABBA fan, so I was into ABBA. But it was, yeah, those performances were a little much.
That first Mamma Mia movie, I laughed so much during the
Oh,
when
me
I
too.
first watched it because there's some directing choices in there that are
Yes, Frank, I agree with you.
just rough. And God bless you, Pierce Brosnan. God,
You want to do the Mamma Mia after show with me? Okay, we
uh,
can.
oh man, I cannot tell you how many times I watched this with my daughter Josie.
Oh,
Mamma
really?
Mia and Mamma Mia 2, yes. Just we've drilled deep into the Mamma Mia universe there. So
So you, me, and Josie will do the after show. Got
there you
it.
go. Yeah.
No, I mean I've seen it several times, but I mean because my daughters too actually. But no, but it's fun. It's fun. But I mean the off key singing and stuff, so it's a little much, a little much. But anyway, so you brought it up recently. But I'm just saying back to the Andor thing. He elevated the show, and
For
so
sure.
he literally he did just his presence. But then, like I said, from day one, you guys, he showed us the different sides of him, the whole thing, fitting tribute. He ended on his terms, the character, and on his terms, and I'm down for that. He wasn't taken out.
Yeah,
He wasn't taken out. He wasn't nobody. No one. Someone did just kill him. He wasn't in a battle. Got a stray bullet. He literally ended his life on his terms.
That's true.
yeah.
Uh,
I honestly, I really do. I'm happier with the way that the show chose to end his story, like than anything I could have even dreamed up. Because like I said, I think I expected him to sort of like sacrifice himself, and like I expected to see him like end his story in like a fiery explosion where he's like flying off trying to save somebody or whatever, and like gets shot down or just flies into another ship to take it out or something like that. And it's like, no, we got like honestly like the most peaceful sort of way for him to go. The show managed to capture it, and it made it much more emotional, and it was like I'm much more satisfied with how he actually came to his death, Luthen, than any of the ways that I sort of dreamed up. Because I expected him to go out in some sort of like violent, like rebellious display where he was sacrificing himself for other people. And in a way, he did that, but it was just in a better way that I could have, thought up.
now, knowing the events of this episode, does Lucasfilm need to go in and do a re-edit on A New Hope for a new special edition, or at the end, when Leia's giving out medals to only Luke and Han, sorry, Chewie, that we also see like just holograms of Lonnie and Luthen up there as well. Because I mean,
No, no, because this rebellion's not about that.
Nope. I said, hey, nope. Like no.
I
Good
mean, but
idea.
does A New Hope happen the way it does without Lonnie? Lonnie seems to be the crux. Without Lonnie, none of this happens.
Well, now we
Yeah,
got it.
we find out that Lonnie is actually
Yeah.
the hero of the entire galaxy.
Right. Well, we got it. We got it. But we don't.
It's all about Saint Lonnie.
That's right.
Unsung heroes. That's what happens sometimes.
Exactly.
Well, that takes us
Unsung.
to 9 and 10. And 9 is basically following like what happens with Clea now that she's
I mean, 11 and 12.
11 and 12. My apologies. Yes. That Clea is now saying goodbye to Luthen, but she's still on Coruscant and she needs to get out. And of course, what do you do when the Empire is, turning their lonely eyes to her, trying to track her down? She makes her way back to our favorite apartment on Coruscant. That's the place where everything goes down. And you can just tell how much like Tony Gilroy and the show loves just the minutia, where we even take the time to see Clea dig into the wall, pull out this old radio, and then we watch it all being assembled, blowing the dust off of cables, plugging those in. Just, oh, I can't get enough whenever they just want to just like show us all these little bits and pieces of business that everybody does. But it's all about trying to broadcast a signal underneath without the Empire knowing about it to get some help. Because she's got this information about everything that Lonnie's related to Luthen, who's related to her, that she needs to make sure that the rebellion knows. And then it comes down to Woolmon, who gets it and brings over to the device to Cassian, who's hanging out playing some poker, and we get some nice K9 scenes. John, how'd you like just seeing K9 just hanging out with the boys playing some poker, or at least a card game?
Yeah, no, this was fun. I enjoyed it. Um, I loved like Cassian and Melshi just like messing with K2SO, being like, "Oh, you never know what humans are gonna do," and K2SO being like, "Well, we've played 836 games. That's
Yeah,
enough for a sample, a predictive sample." It's like this was all very fun. Of course, though, Wilmon always on the job. Uh, and thank God for Drina, right? Being like, "Oh,
oh
what is this you're hiding under the bed?" This thing just started chittering and it woke me up and blah blah blah. And it's like, of course it's Wilmon. Here he is to save the day. Um,
uh, John, I'm going to ask you before we dive more into this. What do you think? Because it's been a year since we've seen K2SO get reprogrammed and start waking up there at the end of episode 9. What do you think the Cassian and K2 relationship is like?
and well, it seems very tenuous. Which I get, I guess. I don't know. There's a part of me that it broke my heart in these episodes when K2SO was just like, "Well, I guess now you see my value," and Cassian was just like, "All right, yeah, we have to turn right." It's like, can you just say thank you? Like you already left one droid behind. Can you just say thank you to K2SO,
Uh,
please?
yeah. James, when are people just gonna, just give thanks to their droids? It's okay to just be, to show some emotion towards a droid.
I'm learning that in real life, to embrace the robots. So I'm trying to get there myself. I was told by someone close to me to submit. That's what I was told. Uh,
Submit. Oh man.
Was that
his name
your
starts with an F
was
and
was
ends
that
with an O.
was
He
that your
told me to
dominatrix, your dominator?
dominator. He told me to submit. Let's go. And so I did. Well, that's not a story. That's another show. That's Andor After Dark. That's another show. What's about that? But no, it's funny because in this whole series of Star Wars, the Star Warsian series world, droids are they're so different. I mean, we either treat them like dirt, or they're close to them, or they're just service, or they're dispensable, or they're saviors. I mean, it's this. We don't think about the whole world of Star Wars. The droid world. I actually love a little more about that kind of. It's kind of interesting how they're treated so many different ways. So and he basically stole this old droid, put it back together, and it seems like it's very much the comic relief, like Diane just said in the chat. Yeah, it was like, and yes, it was Alan Tudyk, we love very much, who's who plays him. It's very much there. He's loyal to Cassian, everybody. Yet it's a like you said, it's a tenuous relationship, almost like frenemies if he was a human. He's just always he's very logical, and Cassian doesn't act logically to him sometimes. I think it's that kind of thing. So it's like these provide. So the way they treat each other, I guess that's supposed to be part of the whole thing. I guess.
Well, what's funny about it too is that K2SO is the robot and Andor is the human,
Right.
and yet it seems like K2SO is looking for the emotional
Yes.
like affirmation, while Cassian is the one denying it. It's
Yes.
like, well, but Cassian is the human. He should want this sort of
Right.
connection, and yet for some reason it's the robot that wants it, and not Cassian. It's just that's kind of funny too. I don't know.
For me, it was just nice to see that card scene, just because what we've seen of just K2SO and Candor and Andor's relationship in Rogue One. It's all it's all mission based. We're going on the mission, we're doing this, we're doing this. Just to have something that was just taken out of just like, hey, we're just being some nice casual, you know, off mission kind of moment, and just seeing just a little bit of just what's life outside of a mission for Cassian like. And so I enjoyed that little slice that we got in that sequence. But while Wilman shows up, yeah, as John says, he's always on the task, that Wilmon. Uh, uh, Kayla starts transmitting again, and Cassian's like, "All right, got to go. The wheels up." And Wilmon, of course, wants to go, but come on, he's got a limp now. Wilmon, you're pretty much useless in the field now at this point. So it's going to be Melchik, K2SO, and Cassian. And once again, just saying, sorry, General Draven, we got to go. So, uh,
Old man Draven trying to
yeah.
block us from leaving again.
So basically, right now it's just a race between Cassian and the Empire on who's going to get to Kayla first in that apartment. Uh, yeah, and we see, as John mentioned before, it was Hoyt going to see Dedra, where we get. I do like that little bit where she hears somebody's coming, and she stands up and straightens up her uniform, and just realizes it's Hoyt, and then just like, ugh, sits back down. Doesn't even, I'm not even. Oh,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do for me?
So,
Nothing.
whatever.
I'll just sit down. But again, you got to see some Dedra thinking about a way to track down Kayla. So always again like the minutia of the ISB. When you're seeing people think on the show, it's always entertaining. Yeah, and that leads us to the race. For a show that was worried about the budget of K2SO, and when to use them and when to not, I thought episode 9 was going to be our big money shot for K2SO for the series. James, how pleasantly surprised were you to see K2SO just take matters into his own hands in this episode?
I love it, and I thought we need a little more action as we're ending the series. We need a little more action, so we got a whole action sequence because that was because we knew they were coming. Like we're going, where are they? They're coming. They kept going back and forth. I loved it. They're trying to leave. They're oblivious. They're like, we're gonna leave. And I'm thinking, don't you say people are coming after you guys? We hurry up a little bit. Like they're all just talking and packing shit. I'm like, come on, we need to go. So I love that they got trapped. I love that whole sequence, and they got trapped, and they did what they could and try to do what they can. We know some stuff happens, obviously, but to answer your question about Homeboy, okay, it was great that he came in. It was just like bye, bye. I mean, I loved it. I mean, that's what. Remember, originally when we first saw his kind, they just came storming in and killing people. I mean, that's what he is supposed to be doing. He's supposed to be this mean ass. It's huge. So this whole thing, we've made him into a comedic sidekick kind of. So we're reminded that he can be that ruthless. But it was in the guy under the guise of helping them get out, so he can get out. But and some obviously some stuff happens before they get out. But to answer your question, I thought good. We need to be reminded that he is that kind. He that kind of droid. So he can do it. So I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
And John, for a show where of course, we know that Cassian and K2SO make it to Rogue One, so we know that they're safe. But the way that episode 11 ends, just as we see that first unit with Hoyt ending up on floor 37, ready to go directly towards Kayla's room or Kayla's apartment. What a great way to end that episode, because it's just a very thrilling way, because you don't know other than Melchik as well. Melchik, Cassian, and K2SO. You don't know if Kayla's going to make it or not. You don't know who else in the Hoyt on the Imperial side are going to make it as well. So I thought the way episode 11 ended was just a really nice way to play into that kind of suspense that you could have for the series.
I no, I totally agree. It was like it was funny because it's like a cliffhanger almost, even though you kind of know how things are gonna end, but at the same time, like you still somehow find a way to make a cliffhanger. I thought it was very well done. Also, K2SO is maybe the most horrifying and yet the most cuddly character in TV history. Like I'm both horrified by K2SO, but also want him to be my best friend at the same time.
Oh,
Well, a lot of the conversation, yeah, once Cassian sees Kayla on Coruscant, and then throughout episode 10, or excuse me, 12, is how's Kayla feeling about Yavin? and what's life, is there a life for her? She was, I can think, like, not like Luthen had said, like, I'm building a world that I know I'm not going to ever be a part of. And I feel like Kayla kind of adopted that worldview as well. And now we're at this moment where it's like, no, 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 we could take you to this world that you've helped create. Uh, and she's reticent to go there. James, could you understand Clay's point of view on that?
Yeah, but they were saying like, but you helped. This is something you guys helped build, so to speak. So it's time for you to go and see what your fruits of your labor. But she's probably thinking, what's my life like now? Like you said, it's like, I mean, it's total. I mean, total. I understand that. I totally understand that completely. And I thought, yeah, I thought the actress is so good. She's so good. I know the actress is really good, conveying these emotions. Um,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
back. They're back and forth. Her and Cassie and talking about that. Just like, come on, girl. We got to do. We're gonna be safe there. Safe as you can be. I think they said. I think they said that. But also, you got to see. You got to see. And I don't get to. We'll get into it later. But she does see kind of where her fruits are. I mean, which was very touching, also for me, that scene. So like, so they were right. But her being reticent. That's a word, folks. Thank you. I did go to
Yeah.
college. I have degrees. Reticent. Go made sense, Frank Moran.
And John, it's also her being reticent to go back to Yavin, but also this episode 12 really kind of deals into how does a now structured rebellion view its beginnings, and what kind of light do they hold the people that kind of were the foundation of where they are now. And you can tell on Yavin, Luthen is not held in high regard by pretty much anybody.
Yeah. And I think it's pretty messed up, honestly. I just, when I think about it, because I feel like people look at Luthen, think that maybe some of the things he did maybe were too brutal, right? Like, maybe like they even consider him to be part of that, like, uh, they're so rebellious that they're not even part of the real rebellion because it's like almost like Saw, like what he does, right? Like people in the rebellion, they look down on Saw. And it's like I feel like the same sort of attitude is given towards Luthen. Um, but that doesn't really make any sense when you really think about it, because it's like he's just always done whatever was necessary. And then you have people like Draven, right, who are commanding Andor, who are being like, oh yeah, kill Galen, you have to kill Galen Erso. Don't, I know that we said in the meeting we're gonna take him alive so that he can be brought back and testify and tell us all the information he knows. But no, I just want you to kill him. And it's like, all right, well, you're kind of more like Luthen than you really think you are. It's like because Luthen had to be so secretive and brutal and run the rebellion the way that he saw fit. And now you don't trust him, but you're also asking me to go kill somebody that you've never met. And it's like Luthen built all this. You don't trust him, but you are just as brutal, if not more brutal, than he would ever be. So it's kind of that whole thing is kind of funny too. It's like I wish they all could have met each other because at some point they might have realized that they were all on the same wavelength, right? And I think that's what we see when Cassian laughs at Bail Organa and says, "Oh, you would have gotten along with Luthen much better than you think."
Yeah,
That
that's
was that
true.
was a good line. That was a good line. That was a good line.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we do see there as we're waiting for Cassian and crew to arrive back on Yavin. We do see Saw talking with Mon and Bail Organa. Props to Benjamin Bratt rocking that outfit in this episode.
yeah,
Uh,
100%.
did great. Rolling right into Rogue One and seeing Jimmy Smits wearing a similar outfit, I was like, man, Benjamin wore it better. I'm sorry.
Visual work better. Oh, that's so funny. Yes.
Yeah.
This was a great recasting, though. It really was. You
Yes.
gotta,
Yes.
you gotta, you gotta give props for it. It really was. It was very well done.
Yeah. But we see Saw just we know what's setting up where he's going to be there in Rogue One. Uh, and you just you see that he is as much trouble for the rebellion as he is to the Empire on this. And so I feel like Mon, who I guess James, do you appreciate Mon's her makeover? I mean, of course she needs to look like she does in the original trilogy,
Yes.
but I also feel like you could understand like if she's joining a rebellion, she's not gonna try to put on the airs that she had on Coruscant. She's got to just show that she is, she is sacrificing and she is with the people that she's commanding. And she does a little a little make under for herself.
Yeah, but the thing is, it almost goes into what you were saying earlier at the top of the show. Hate to reference it, but I will say this time. We didn't see enough of her with them on a regular basis either. So we don't even know. It would be kind of fun to see the haircut happen. That part, I'm like, I agree with you, Frank. It'd be kind of fun to see the haircut, see the transformation. I mean, I don't need like a montage with like 80s music or nothing, but I mean, like, just like they show her and say, okay, we got to bring you down a little bit. Okay, we got to change the look. And she's like, what? And then they like just they give her a makeover.
And
That would be fun.
she comes out from behind the curtain, and Belle's like, mm-mm.
No,
And she
no,
goes
go
back
back
in,
in.
comes back out.
Kiss me.
Turn around.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm not saying we need that kind of montage, but I mean, but like something like they look at
Well, we do
oh, that's close,
we
not right. You're right. You'll
we
need
do
that.
see her with this look though in Rogue One.
Yes,
Yes.
I'm just saying. I'm going back to what Frank said that we saw her. To me, the shedding was when she dropped her cape when they were escaping. That was first. When he gave her his jacket when they were outside, that was second. Like we were getting there, that she was leaving her life behind to join this, and so we saw that in the previous 3 episodes. So I'm saying I'm kind of like now because like I said again, I don't need like I don't need what was it? Don't you forget about me? She's like, I don't need all
You
that.
want you want
Or Mon's like
you
doing a
want
fist
you want to
bump.
see her in that barber chair.
In my
Yes.
chair. I mean, really,
Turn around.
every now and then. I know exactly. We don't need all that. Hold out for a hero at the end of the night. No, we're not looking for that. I'm just saying. I just think this is where Frank actually you're kind of correct because she's such an important character. You're right. Her look is something that happens in Rogue One. Maybe we saw that transformation, but I guess what they were going for is we had to change her. We had to change her look. Here it is. We get a shot of her, and that's kind of the whole point. I mean, I guess maybe that's the point.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, I guess John, like, if is, because we have so much to cover in so little time,
Yeah.
really seeing Mon uh be there on Yavin and being, like the true leader of the rebellion. We never really get that moment. We just kind of just build in knowing that like, oh yeah, we've always kind of we know that she's the leader, so we're just rolling with it. But we never really get to see that kind of first moment where we see her kind of on Yavin, where taking the leadership role in something that she's helped develop for so many years.
And I think this is where um the show still works, obviously. If you've never seen anything else of Star Wars, but like even seeing some of these other Star Wars properties, like Star Wars Rebels, right? We see uh Mon Mothma talk to Saw Gerrera before this moment in Star Wars Rebels. On Yavin, uh Saw Gerrera sends like a secret like hologram message in through a droid where he's talking to the rebellion and Mon Mothma in person responds on Yavin. And it's like so there the reverberations around the Star Wars sort of saga and galaxy off of this show, they hit so many like little places because like I wish I could even pull up the episode of Star Wars Rebels where this happens because it's on Yavin and it's between Saw and Mon Mothma, and they have this whole like argument, and it feels like I bet people like Andor were there on the base for this. You know what I mean? Like, but it's an animated show,
Right.
so
So, somewhere you just see like the top of somebody's hair and it's black. And you're like, that's Cassian. He's just a little bit further in the background, but that's him standing there seeing
yeah.
this. Well, what we do get though is that, of course, I do like K2SO saying, "I'm going to tell everybody that you kidnapped me, so that I don't get in trouble when we get back to Yavin." And of course, nobody's happy to see Cassian back, but he's got Kayla, gets her medical attention, and then Drevin takes Cassian into like kind of the inner council for this, and they're talking about what he knows, what he learned from Luthen, what he learned from Kayla, and we really get to see how the rest of the people in that rebellion, the leaders at least, think and feel about Luthen Rael. And other than Mon Mothma and Cassian, they're the only ones who are like, ugh, can we even trust him? I mean, he's been, so out there for so long, what can we even do? And I loved Cassian's little speech where he's like, I've seen the good and the bad. I'm telling you, I've been up close view to all of it, but I'm not going to sit here and watch him be torn down by people that have, done a fraction of what he's done to get this rebellion to where it is at this point. And I thought that's what I needed Cassian to say in that moment.
Yeah.
John, did you feel that there was a significant enough appreciation for Luthen that somebody was standing up for Luthen and letting these people know, like, you would not be here for as much as you try to hold yourself to these lofty ideals. You would not be here without anything that Luthen had done.
Yeah. I feel like some of these movements, like they're much more like you have to get your hands dirty sometimes. And I feel like the people that are really in on those movements are the ones that are doing the hard work, where you have these other people. And do we even know their names? These other senators or rebels, rebel leaders who just seem to like look down on people like Andor or Luthen. Like they always just want to be there, to criticize. And it's like I like that we get to see this side of the rebellion too, where it's like you have people that are involved but don't really want to get their hands dirty. And they're the same people from the Rogue One movie, but Admiral Raddus was there. You had Bail Organa there. You had Mon Mothma there. Um, yeah, this whole scene though, where they just wanted to, dismiss Luthen, really pissed me off.
Yeah.
So Diane C in the chat says Cassian's speech was a good eulogy for Luthen. For me, I've been in a few movements myself. When I was younger, I was an activist back in the 80s, early 90s. And that's the problem with movements, right? That everyone's not united on how to do things. And I remember being part of a couple where they were very vocal, and not just vocal, but they also were very actionary. We did things. So I'm not going to say anything on camera right now. I would get in trouble. But we did things that maybe some people would have not liked, but we were trying to make a statement because we felt so strongly about what was happening to a particular set of marginalized people. So there are some folks who don't like that. They're not going to agree with that. They're not going to like that or give it credit. They give full credit, right, to a movement. They think they could have done it better or differently or more civilized or more whatever. I mean, that's the feeling I kind of got. I mean, like I said, the show has some stuff rooted in what's going on today and in the past. There's some stuff in there. And I felt, as myself being a part of several movements. And what I will say, one of them was ACT UP. I was part of ACT UP. If you guys don't know, look it up, Google it. Back in the days, we were fighting AIDS and we were dying by the minute. We were fighting companies. And some things I was involved in wasn't the most civilized. I will admit it. It wasn't. But we were feeling that our lives were in danger. And so we did some stuff to catch attention. And I think that happens in all movements, right? So I kind of feel like, and you get dismissed, or the newer generations that are in the movements are kind of like, well, I don't know, they don't feel it, they don't get it. I think so. You need someone to remind them, kind of, you would. I do it all the time with my younger brethren. of certain sorts. I remind them there are things that I did so you don't have to. There are things you enjoy now because people like me were out there doing the dirty work and the hard work. And I always stand by that. They try to, for us Gen Xers, they try to, give us shit sometimes. But there were things we did the best we could in many ways back then. You could have done better. That's a whole different time period. You don't know. So that's how it felt for me, Frank.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's easy to judge, something from present, not taking into consideration the past, the circumstances, what was happening at that point in time. So, uh, yeah, and I feel like that's Kayla's struggle right now is that she's on Yavin. As Cassian says to her when he visits her in the infirmary, he's like, "Yeah, you didn't get the hero's welcome that you should
Right,
have,
right.
yeah, for this." And that's Kayla struggling to figure out, like, well, do I even have anything to offer? Should I even be here at this point? And she walks out in the rain, uh, and she meets Vel, who has just left Cassian's place, where Vel's gone there at Vermont's request to kind of figure out, like, hey, can we really trust the information that Cassian gave us that Luthen got? Uh, and Vel and Andor take a little moment to sip a little drink and toast to those that have fallen.
I
Uh,
love that. I
yeah,
love it.
you guys appreciate that, John?
Gail was just like, wow, great. I mean, this is wonderful. I'm glad she's still here.
Yeah.
I love first of all, I was just number one. And then those scenes were very touching. Very touching.
I
Sure,
didn't.
John hated them.
But Brasso was not name checked though, was he?
No, he wasn't.
Well, I don't think Vel knew Brasso though.
Not that he.
I think they were just naming. Yeah, I think they were just naming people that they both knew.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Vel ever knew Brasso.
Which did either.
Um,
They were in the same. They were in the same spots at certain times, but they weren't together. They weren't working together.
yeah, but they named Gorn,
Yeah.
who I think was the Imperial that he said fuck you to that guy who was like, oh, let's just trade these Aldani furs or whatever, and then his whole family, I think, during the Eye in the first season, was the one that he's the one that like had the heart attack or whatever. But Gorn was the one that like fought back against that. And he served like years under the Empire, like disgusted by them. So it was like good to hear his name, Gorn. Nemec, obviously his manifesto was played during these last three episodes. Marva was named, Gorman, Ferrix, all these people and places that were named. This was a great scene, I thought. And it was one of my favorites for Vel, who has never been one of my favorite characters. But even Vel, I'm like, all right, well, there are people you don't like sometimes. They're annoying, but they also still do some good things. And it was like for Vel and for me in this scene, I was like, all right, you know what? I really appreciate her. Like she's been through a lot. She has lost. She's done a lot of hard things, worked very hard for the rebellion. And so seeing Vel here was great, I thought. And I really liked how she was the one to sort of like bring Clea in and like protect her.
Yeah, that was cute too. That was good too. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
And we do see what kind of leads us to when we do go to Coruscant real quick to see Partagrass. He's going to be taken into custody.
No, he's not. What did you think, Frank?
Yeah. What I do like is Legret like giving him that they both know what's going on. He's like, hey, I just need a moment to just settle my affairs right in here real quick. Legret knows what's going on as soon as he walks out that door.
But Frank, I gotta ask you a question. Turn around and ask you a question.
Ooh.
Did you think he knew he was going to kill himself? He was going to kill. Probably was going to kill himself. Do you think when the shot goes off? I like how we don't see it; we just hear it.
Yeah,
he would flinch.
I think he knew. Like I feel like we've all seen that military trope where somebody's like, nope, I can't be taken in. I just have to take myself out.
Yep. But again, cinematography. I'm making up words. the cinematography of that scene, again, beautiful.
Yes.
Because we've seen that room so many times in this series, right? We've seen that room, and they always enter in that big sign, like the whole thing, and he's sitting there, and he kind of just takes a deep breath. He kind of sits there. He's like, okay. And then they play that thing where he's listening to that for a second. It's like, okay, it plays in his mind, whatever.
Yeah, the
Manifesto, and then pulls out the thing, sits on the table. It's like, okay. I love that we don't see it. It just kind of switches. Let's give him some time, and then, bam, and that was it. And I thought it was just beautiful. I thought, again, beautifully done. I mean, I hate to say about a killing, a death, but it was beautifully done. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because John, I felt like that was another scene that really kind of recontextualizes the Empire
Yes.
in this, where it's like Parnagarcia just says to Legret as he comes, like, it just keeps spreading, doesn't it? Where they realize, like, you know, the rebellion is not going to stop. It's only going to get bigger, and the Empire's days are pretty much numbered at this point.
Yeah, I mean, but it's weird too, though, because it's like, all right, the rebellion is not going to stop. It's going to keep growing. But also, the Empire is here, and that's not going to stop. So it's funny to me because it's like, all right, Legret walks in and lets Partagaz kill himself. But, like, what does Legret think that's going to lead to? Like, is Legret gonna also kill himself? You know, like, because, like, where does any of this end? Right? It's like, all right, you either switch sides or you just kill yourself because the Empire cannot, it's never going to succeed. It's going to continue to fail, and whoever's at the top of the Empire is going to just continue to look for people to blame. And if Partagaz is gone, and Dedra's gone, and Hirt is gone, and Lonnie's gone, well, now you're the next person that's going to be killed.
Yeah.
So do you kill yourself too? Like,
Oh, and for ways to go out in a series, do you see here being held up by K2SO as like a shield? For
that
his
that
Oh
blasting.
yeah,
my god, that was hilarious. I was
that
laughing, kind of.
it was hilarious, but also that might have been the most, like, dark, like, brutal form of violence we've ever seen on screen in
Yeah.
any Star Wars show or movie.
Woo.
Yeah. Uh,
That's something else.
but we see Kayla get up in the morning, looks out, sees those people there in Yavin just, working together, trying to, keep that rebellion going. She gets that little subtle smile at the corners of her mouth. So making you think like, all right, she's starting to see that it was worth it for everything. Uh, and then we also have seen trying to get Andor because only he's the only one that can get this information from somebody that's reaching out to the rebellion with super important information, but only talk to Cassian Andor. So we get to see Cassian water his plants, walk up, hop into his
Okay,
ship.
gotta stop there for a second. As a plant lover, I got plants everywhere. I just can't see them right now. As a plant lover, I thought that detail, it touched my heart because it's still a living thing. Plants are living things. And that his attention to detail about watering the plants to me was like, this is regular life. Like even though he's in a rebellion, this is a slice. You talk about minutia. To me, it's a slice of life. And no matter what happens, he still cared for his plants. And that's what I would do for all my babies. Shout out to the plant lovers out there, plant daddies. I thought that was a cool detail that I didn't expect. I thought it was kind of cool when they did that. That shot with the plant. The plant was healthy too, folks. I thought it was healthy.
Yeah, what I liked about that too is I felt like it just showed that Cassian thought like, I'm coming back, whatever this is, I'll be back.
Right, right.
So I'm just watering my plants, doing my thing, because I'll be back.
Yeah.
Not realizing, nope, he's not gonna be back.
He's not. Okay, just kidding.
Well, hold on though, because he does come back.
Well, I mean,
He
yeah,
he does.
But does he go back to the house? I don't know if there's enough
Yeah.
time
I
for
think
him
it
to
goes
go
back
back
to
to
the
that
house. I
house.
think it goes back to the house. But you're right.
Right.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
Because I feel like this was him saying goodbye to, like, this was my life before, and now I'm not coming back to it. Okay, I think that's correct.
You think so?
But he does come back to Yavin at least because he brings Jin back there, and they all
Right.
question her. And I'd like to think he maybe spent, at least a night in his house,
Went back and watered his plants even one more time.
even one more time after that. But this was also very effective though.
I
Like
go.
the fact that he was because he didn't even want to get seen by this force healer, right? Uh for the scar he had on his
Yeah.
back when the season started. And of course Bix made him go. And it's like, okay, now we know, right? Because Bix asked, like, what did you see? To the force healer, and she didn't really want to answer. And Andor also clearly saw something, didn't want to answer. And now in this final scene, in the last episode, we know what they saw. They saw the force healer and Andor both saw that his life would die. It would end with him saving this rebellion. Um, and even though he comes back to Yavin, like when he's leaving at the end of the last episode, like he knows that the final set of events, all of this has been like sort of like put into motion. So while we know he comes back to the planet, it's still at the same time like this is the end.
Did you want that force healer just to raise like a one, much like Doctor Strange did to Tony Stark in Endgame? And just like, come
One
on.
in 14 million.
Yeah,
This is
this
it.
is
But if I tell you, it won't happen.
it.
Okay.
And so he takes off with K2SO to Rogue One, but that's not the end, everybody, because we go back to the wheat planet, and there we see B2 having a good old
I thought of
time.
John. I thought of John.
Thank
He has a friend. He has a friend,
thank
John.
God. Thank God.
And
I'm so
B2
glad.
seems to be very happy.
Yeah.
Great. They're just playing, and then we cut out to Bix walking through that wheat field, carrying that baby.
I was like, okay, I was like, hold the F up. I said, hold the F up. I didn't say F, I said a stronger word. But point was, I was like, you gotta be S-ing me. I said a strong word there too.
Come on, I
I
called
was
that
like,
last week for
Say
you,
it. Say
James.
it
You
all.
should have
Say it
I'm not
known.
gonna
all.
say it all.
Say
It's,
it.
it's nighttime. I'm sorry, daytime listeners who watch this. I was like, what the fuck? Hey, are you shitting me? That's what I said. And I
Excellent.
was like,
Excellent.
this excellent. This changes everything for me, period,
Yeah.
about Rogue One. And then I go, it has to be Cassian's son, clearly. I mean, and it could be, I mean, it has to be his son. I go, wait a minute, there's another Andor out there that it continues. We can have another series. We can have he's all grown up. What if he's all grown up and just on Ahsoka? Like I start thinking of all these things, seeing that baby. So I don't know how you guys felt, but I was like, now that's something I didn't expect at all.
Well, John, I almost broke my own hand patting myself on the back for calling that baby last week. Uh, so, John, how did you feel seeing this baby?
Baby, the baby.
The
Uh,
baby.
it was a great baby.
It's a great baby. It's a great baby.
You know, somehow I wish that like people were smart enough to like make this like, oh, Andor's baby is Ezra Bridger. How awesome would that be? It's not
Nice.
gonna happen,
No.
but yeah, you know.
What I liked is Tony Gilroy saying that he wanted to end the series on a hopeful note. And so having Bix with Andor's child is just a little bit of hopefulness at the end of all this. Yeah. And so whether this gets picked up by, anybody, post, like sequel trilogy era, and they want to continue the adventures of Andor's son. I'm assuming son. We don't really see close enough to know if it's a boy or a girl. Uh,
Yeah.
Andy Andor's child. You know, I guess that is like as to James said, that is a character that now exists in the Star Wars universe for somebody to pick up on if they were so inclined.
I'll write it. I'll do it.
Ezra
There you
Bridger.
go. Andorable coming to you on JLJ Media.
The thing
Adorable.
coming soon, JLJ Media. Yeah, it just was a nice, it's a nice surprise. And so now, literally, that he's now into the universe. He's into the universe, and now he'd be a grown up. If you don't go from directly, I mean, let's do a series about her raising him growing up under the shadow of the Andor family. But I mean, like, you can pick him up anywhere in one of these later series now because of the timeline. You like I said, I was thinking about Ahsoka. I was thinking about something. You can place him somewhere in there. Mandalorian and Grogu, you can place him in there. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, because it seems, from what Vel's conversation is with Cassian, I mean, he does mention Bix to her.
he says you should go see her. As she
Yeah.
said, you should go see her.
So like, I feel like Vel's got a good, well, he says he doesn't know exactly. I feel like Vel, he certainly knows enough information to know that Bix is out there and kind of a way to get in touch with her. So I feel like, having Vel exist is a way that, that information settles back down to Bix about Cassian's sacrifice that happens on Scarif.
What if it's Poe? Poe Dameron.
Do we even mention that character? Are we supposed to mention that character? I mean,
It's
Uh,
Cassian's son. He's a great pilot, Hey.
or he could track some kind of weird, virus and
The measles.
turns green and grows long ears. And that's Grogu, everybody.
that's Grogu. That's good. I love Grogu in the chat, of course. But I'm saying the timeline, he could be a grown up in any of those timelines if he survived or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
So,
So as we're getting ready to wrap up, we will be back next week to talk about Rogue One.
but wait a minute, we got this one thing we got mentioned, Frank. Very important. I thought of you, Frank. The flashback to Cassian's sister. That quick little moment.
Great.
I'm saying, but they mentioned that. You said they mentioned it.
I mean,
He was dreaming or out of it or whatever. But he did think about. He thought they showed. I mean,
that for me was just like Tony Gilroy going, yeah, we're not going to answer it, but yeah, we also know we're not answering it. So, and he's even gone on record saying like he did not want an answer to that because that's supposed to be the eternal hole that can never be filled for Cassian. Like if you answer that question, that kind of loses some of Cassian's motivation.
Yeah, but I do appreciate that callback to it though, because it's like, all right,
it was there.
yeah, it was like episode 1, episode 2. It made it seem like, oh, the point of the show is that we need to find his sister, but like we knew that was never gonna happen. But okay, that's fine. Like to me, like if you call back to it and it's like, all right, this is still something that haunts me, even though I'll never solve it. It's like, all right, at least it wasn't just something that was introduced that just got abandoned. It was like, no, that was always part of the story, and it's like it still is part of the story, but like we'll never get an answer. And that happens sometimes.
Yeah, Frank,
It's just
that happens sometimes.
That does happen sometimes, James.
Yeah, like sometimes you look for something. You look for an answer somewhere and you don't get it.
That's
and
so
that happens.
true, John. Oh my God, it's so true in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean those are those things that become like, personality that shapes a person's personality and fundamental kind of motivations. And doesn't,
Yeah.
You may never get it answered, but it serves as a great motivating factor for a character. And I feel like this was a good example of that.
And I'm glad they like kind of just called back to it. Just even in the briefest of moments.
Like, hey guys, we remember you, you Cassie and Andor sister lovers. We remember you.
Sister lovers. That's
Yeah.
different, Frank. That's like something different.
Oh, these scenes we shot like 3 years ago, we're gonna put it into the finale episode.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a credit after all. Don't worry.
Well, yeah, and we also get to see he gets woken up by when Bale arrives for them to have a little chat, and that goes into what John said earlier about Cassian telling him it's like if you'd known Luthen, you guys would have probably gotten along.
Yep.
But I did like Cassian just saying like he can't remember the last night he had like a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
It's tough living that rebellion lifestyle, guys.
Rebellion lifestyle. Yeah, that's right. It's a little tough. It's a little tough on you. Your hair get a little dirty. You're not sleep as well. The food rations aren't the greatest, but it's the life for me. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and you can tell we're just butting up against Rogue One and the bigger Star Wars universe
Yep.
with I mean, mentioned in episode 10, 11 of the Death Star. First time
Yes.
that gets it's like
Yes.
boom, we're really locking into this.
Yes.
And then the more use of "May the Force be with you," which
Okay. When he said to him, homeboy said, "May the force be with you, Captain," to Cassian, I got goosebumps. That's the first
yeah,
time we heard it used really kind of in that way in this
yeah,
series. And I was like, when he said, the "May the force be with you, Captain." Or I didn't say Captain. I didn't think I didn't say Captain.
Yeah, I think it was the first time that anybody said "May the Force be
Yeah,
with you" in the whole
it got me.
series,
It gave me goosebumps. I was like,
and
oh,
it becomes a bigger thing in the movie
right.
in Rogue One.
right.
But this was the first time that anybody said it in the series.
Yes.
So
And then Cassian said, "Get out of here with that midichlorian nonsense."
yeah, get out of here.
Fail.
Get out of here.
Go fuck yourself, Bale.
Get him out.
But again, Benjamin Bratt rocking that outfit.
I love good. I love a good cape and shit. So I love that stuff. You know that.
Yeah, and I just want to know what that business is. Like those three metal pieces there right in the front. They look like pens. It gets reminded like if he wants to write something down, he's just gonna pull a pen out of there and just write, and that's where he tucks it back
Okay, Bic. Sponsored by Big Roller Pens. That's what they are.
It's one of those. It's one of those like gel pens too.
It's gel pen on
Like,
gel pens. Yeah, those are, yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
And we also get to see Dedra's, fate. We see her just in one of those prison cells, like we saw Cassian in season one.
Yeah.
And she looks like she's having a good time.
So that again, I keep saying over again, the cinematography on that was wonderful. Also, the choices they made, where she's trying to hold together, then the lights go out. We see her silhouette start to weep. Everything fell apart for her. Her life is effed. Like she literally fought so hard to be on this side and move her way up to be basically destroyed, and she's now in a cell. But she's put many people in herself, I'm sure. Now it's her turn. And and again, I like the character so much. She was evil. I wonder what happens to her. I wonder what happens to her.
Yeah, I mean, I still want to think that she exists somewhere in that
Yeah.
post Return of the Jedi world where she's been paroled.
So
But
it was a great day. As I said, the lights go out, she's sobbing, and they kind of switch scene. I mean, that's they switch scenes. So
yeah, John, given Dedra's past and everything she's described and what we've seen of her in these two seasons, it say she was around in the time of Mandalorian season 3 and she is paroled. Does she kind of embrace the New Republic, or does she slide back into wanting to help the New Order?
I think she would probably embrace the New Republic. But personally, I would like to see her flushed down the toilet like a turd.
All right.
Because I feel like that's what she is.
Oh, Dedra, come on. There she is. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back here next week to talk about Rogue One, how well Andor season 2 leads into Rogue One, what kind of changes we see from the storytelling of this series into the storytelling we see into Rogue One, and to how that leads us into the original trilogy. It should be an interesting chat.
I'm very excited, folks. So, folks, I do have my DVD. Yes, physical media lives. I will be watching it this week. I'm very excited to watch it and see how it all. I'm excited for this conversation also. And I just want to tell people at home, and we're not done. After that, we're going to do a whole series like recap where we kind of feel like what we think about it. So, because the three of us love each other so much, we're going to try to stretch this out a little bit. And I'm trying to get some other ideas. Maybe give us a couple more episodes as we go into June. So yeah.
Yeah, John and I will read some of James's Andor slash fiction. You know.
Yeah. James has apparently been doing some like ASMR
You know, we,
um about Andor.
only in private, um, only on request. No, but my thing is, I have a couple. I do have a couple of little. Just I was doodling a couple of Star Wars short stories that I've written. I've never shown to the public. Never done it. Never anything.
But it's also it's like sensual Star Wars.
That's right.
I didn't even say this. Like, so I said, I go, James, can you actually clarify? It's family friendly.
Sensual, sexual Star Wars.
Krennic is a power bottom.
Yeah. Krennic
No,
is just being
Partagas.
dominated
No,
by Tarkin.
I was saying Partagas was the power bottom, yes, and of course he was. That's why he was so uptight. Uh, and Deidre was a dominatrix, and Cyril loved it. I mean, oh yeah, well, I mean, that's in there too. No, folks, I'm just kidding. That's not really almost not it. But I just want a couple of little things. I haven't really shared it. But maybe I'll share one episode one day. Maybe I will. Maybe we will do a reading.
Ooh.
Lonnie just coming in, scissoring everyone.
Lonnie, getting it on.
Yeah, scissoring everyone. Anyway,
but
we're still on the air.
yeah, we are still
we're
on.
still on the air,
We're
kids.
still on, yes. So
That's right. That's right.
With that salacious ending, we will wrap it up here for the Andor season 2 after show here on JLJ Media. As always, thanks for watching us. Thanks for listening to us. We very much appreciate that. As James said, it's a very highly downloaded show here on JLJ Media, and that is, we very much appreciate you wanting to see and or listen to our thoughts and feelings about the
Andor.
Andor. He said Andor. He said Andor.
You did. You said Andor.
Good.
That's right.
They're all turn the lights out, guys. That's right. That's the chat. Turn the lights out, guys. Mm-hmm.
But we will be back again next week to talk about Rogue One, give our thoughts and feelings about that. And if you want to stay in touch with any of us, even after this show is off the air or after dark, John Dunphy, where can they find you, Mr. Hall of Famer?
It's true. I'm in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, show everybody.
Here's the certificate to prove it.
John Dunphy, that is an incredible certificate. Did you get an opportunity to say any words?
I was actually there with Steve Vai and Joe Satriani.
Were you really? Oh, well,
yeah.
I know who they are. You really?
They are in the same Hall of Fame class as I am.
No way.
What? Wait a minute. That's crazy talk.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
That's incredible.
They went to my high school.
What?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I know who they are. Yeah, I totally know who they are. Yeah.
Were you given an opportunity to say a few words, or did you just kind of go up and receive?
I just went up and received.
That's
on my knees.
That's the loss of everybody in attendance for that, to miss your powerful words.
I've received like that too from John, so I don't understand. Just keep my mouth shut and received. I understand. I mean, did I say that?
Yeah.
Oh my god, did I say that? Sorry.
Yeah.
John, do you want to share what you would have said to the folks had you had opportunities to say a few words?
I don't know. It's a little inappropriate.
Wow, that's that interesting. That would have been the choice. A little, my comments are inappropriate, but I will share them anyway. Who do you find, folks, that have inducted me into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Well, if you want to type it out for anybody to read on social media, with maybe a nice photo of your Hall of Fame plaque, where can they find you, sir?
On Instagram at jdunn89.
Woo!
On TikTok, I am Dunphy.
Are you?
And that's it.
Nice. When are you going to be adding the HOF edition to your names there? I mean, you're Hall of Famer now, dude.
Yeah, TBD.
Right. Okay. Our resident Sith daddy, James Lott Jr., where can they find you?
We're all James Lott Jr.'s are bought and sold at James Lott Jr. on all social media platforms. Thank you for
So
checking
hot.
all
So hot.
thank you for but my voice has changed. My balls dropped. Thank you for listening and watching all of our Star Wars content. We have all the show. We have all these shows, starting with my Darth Vader is Your Father show. Thanks for all those 20,000 views to listen to whatever too. So audio and video are out there. So check us out and check me out everywhere. James Lott Jr. Really, and I have a TikTok. I am TikTok famous. That's
He's
bread.
at a bread video that, as you see,
And bread.
Hot.
I have bread in my refrigerator right now. So there you go.
Hot.
Thank
So
you.
hot.
Thank you. Frank, where can they find you? Is he frozen? Of course.
and folks, you can find me on all social media at Happy Go Jackie. That's going to do it for this episode of the Andor episode, Andor After Show for season 2, right here on JLJ Media. We'll see you back here next week for a special take on Rogue One. Until then,
I'll be sobbing. I'll be sobbing when that happens.
may the force be with you.
Hey, Force be with you.